Hey folks, it's Digital Hunting Gear Guy. Today I wanted to show you a rifle that's been on my list for a while, but for whatever reason I just didn't pick one up. But I've recently picked one up. I got it in on trade, and it's the Ruger American rifle. I'll just go right from the back here. Just gonna give you guys a real quick sweep. This one's in 308, and it has a very skinny barrel. Look at that. It's pretty much all bullet hole and very little barrel around it. So I mean, disadvantage, that's kind of a light whippy barrel, but advantage, man, this is a really light rifle. This one I opt to go with the Redfield Revolution package. This one comes with a 3-9x40 Redfield Revolution scope on it, which this is about as good as you want for a beginner rifle anyway, so it's actually a decent scope. Saved me some time in buying one and mounting one for sure. And this is kind of the quality you want on one of these rifles. A lot of the like the Savage Axis, the 770, a lot of the other really inexpensive rifles come with these cheap like $50 scopes on them that you can't expect too much from those. This is the minimum quality I'd go with, is a Redfield Revolution or a Bushnell Elite or something like that. So nice to see that they've got some quality, or at least appropriately quality glass for a rifle like this. This doesn't really compete with the Savage Axis and Remington 770. It's more of that mid-range, $400, $500, $600 rifle. But in any case, let's kind of take a look at what this rifle's like. I'm just gonna go from the back because I don't want to forget too much stuff. It's got I would say like a medium squishy butt pad on the back here. It's kind of squishy in the middle, a little bit more on the outside. So it's there's some nicer butt pads out there, but this will do just fine. The comb on the rifle is actually a little bit skinny. Like the whole rifle is actually a little bit slim. It kind of reminds me of the Browning X-Bolt, but it's got this very slim cheek piece here, and I haven't actually had a chance to get this thing out to the range yet. But I imagine in a really hard kicking caliber, this might hit you in the cheek a little bit hard, just because it's really skinny, and that's where it's going to impact your cheek there. Coming back, and I'm just going to zoom you guys way in. And there, we're focused. And you can see on the tang here that we've got a tang mounted safety, very big, like very raised. This thing's sitting way up above. Hey, kind of nice, if you're shooting for usability and you want function over form, this is kind of the rifle for it, because man, that's all function there. You can see that there's a cocking indicator at the rear of the bolt here that tells you that it's cocked and ready to go. And then we've got this safety. And this safety, like, I don't care if it clicks when it goes to safe. What I care about is, can I ride it down to fire and make it quiet? More or less. You might be able to hear that on the mic, you might not. It's a very subdued click. Moving a little bit forward, ooh, bolt or trigger. Why don't we talk about the trigger? The trigger's kind of one of these, it seems like everyone's got a version of the Savage AccuTrigger, and all of these other versions, and I don't know if this is a way to get around the patent that Savage had, but all these other ones are designed in a way that, if you were to pull the trigger without pulling the shoe or the lever here, on the axis, that would cause the sear to kind of fall into a safe mode, and then you'd have to, recock it, kind of a thing. On these ones, it just doesn't do anything. So you can pull on that one, it doesn't do anything. It only fires when you pull that lever down. I've confirmed that I'm not loaded or anything here, but as you pull, and I don't know if you can see that cocking indicator up there, but as you pull the trigger, and it's a very, just like all these trigger shoe style triggers, it's very sharp drop off, very little travel if any at all, and nice and light. So excellent trigger on this thing. That's nice to see. Kind of moving up to the bolt, we've got a 3-lug bolt, and it's got some people say a 60 degrees, some people say 70. I think it might be a 66 degree bolt throw, but it's got a shortened bolt throw at least. And what that's good for is leaving room between your hand and the scope. I don't mind a 90 degree bolt, but with some scopes you'll end up kind of hitting your hand against it, and with these it's never really an issue, right? It's never an issue that you're going to be hitting your bolt against the scope there. The bolt itself, it's got a little bit of, I don't know, noise from the machine marks, but overall, it's very freely going back and forth. Let me just pop you back here so you're not focusing in constantly. So it's very free, very easy to move back and forth. I oiled it a little bit just to kind of give it a little bit extra, and you can see that it moves back and forth very easily. Flipping over the other side of the rifle, and there's not really much here except for this bolt release, and you can see here there's not really anything to push, but here, let me zoom you in. Oop, and let's move over a little bit. There we go. So you see there's nothing really protruding right now. I'm going to lift the bolt up and pull it to the rear, and you can see now that it's kind of pushed down on the front. Now if I push down here, I can actually remove this bolt. I'm trying to do it with one hand. It's a little bit tricky, but there we go. And now the bolt is out. And when we look at the bolt itself, it's a big hunk of metal. It's lighter than it looks, and it's got these 3 lobes on the front that it's using as lugs. And if I zoom in on that face, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that pretty well. The machine work is a little bit rough. Like it's very easy to see that this was, you know, worked over to maybe remove some burrs or something. And the bolt body itself as well has, I don't know if you can hear that. It's got kind of like, you know, lathe marks on it that you'd expect, but you know, for a price point like this, I think I'm not even looking for a real pretty rifle. More than I'm still looking for excellent function, and I'm still looking for great features, and I think that's something that this rifle has done really well at. So although there's some things here and there that aren't quite as nice as on some more expensive rifles, it does pack in the features. Anything else I want to say about the bolt? I don't think so. Next up is the mag, and this is my favorite part of this rifle. And you know, it's hard to get excited about magazines, but I really like this magazine. Come on, there we go. It really reminds me of an inexpensive version of the Browning X-Bolt mag, because it's got very similar design in how it's just kind of like a big chunk of plastic. This one's got that rear piece on here, and it's a rotary mag as well. It's got this this flipper on the inside that rotates around inside there, so you can fit 4 rounds into this magazine. Which, hey, there's other magazines this size that can fit 4 rounds, but this one is incredibly light, and that's partly because they're using the right kind of materials for this. The other thing I love about this, the mag goes in the mag well really quick. So I complain about this on rifles because I want a mag that goes in really quickly. Sometimes you're not ready for an animal. Sometimes you're on a quad, or depending on your local laws, you're in a truck and you need to get out, get a mag inside your rifle quickly, load around and shoot. And in this rifle, it's just so quick. It's so quick and it's secure. There's not really any rattling going on there. It's very easy to pull out because it's got the release in the right spot, which is in front here. And I say that's the right spot. I'm just going to pull back here, because as you're holding on your right hand on the grip here, this is very easy. Whereas if you've got the release at the back, you kind of have to use both hands for it. Whereas this is very easy. Man, that's slick. There's no thinking about this thing. It just does what it's supposed to do. And it's kind of silly to be praising a rifle like for something like that, but among the budget bolt action rifles, the mag is often the weak part of the system, and on this one it's definitely a strong point. I'm going to show you loaded rounds in this thing afterwards, but not until I've got a couple other things out of the way. Moving on to the stock, there's a couple of things, you know, hey, given we're trying to hit a price point here, it feels a little bit kind of cheap and cheesy. It's a little bit sharp on some of the plastic, especially here on the fore end here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's quite an edge on this thing, and it's a little bit sharp. Do I really care? Not really. No, of course not. I mean, I'm still just going for form and sorry, not form, but function on this thing. Next, I wanted to show you guys just the bedding system that they use in this thing, because I think it's kind of cool. A lot of the rifles out there in the budget range, some of them aren't even pillar bedded. Some of them are pillar bedded. You know, pillar bedding being those metal kind of sleeves that they put into the stock to kind of relieve the stress on it and make it so that your action screws are kind of grounding out metal on metal. But Ruger kind of did something cool with this. The other thing that all these budget bolt action rifles will have is a recoil lug. And that recoil lug is how the action kind of transmits its forces to the stock. And what Ruger's done is kind of upgrade their, instead of doing those sleeve metal pieces that I was talking about, they're doing V-blocks. And those are on the stock here. Let me just pull that screw out, come on. So there you can see those two V-blocks. I'm just going to zoom you in. There's one there, there's one there. And that's kind of cool. That's something that's available on certain rifle stocks. But here's the other cool thing. Those are actually the recoil lugs, and they're mating with the receiver right here. So they've actually got cutouts in the receiver so that they can be bearing surfaces that take up the recoil of the rifle, which I think that's, you know, kind of cool. At the very least, it removes one step in the manufacturing, so hey, that's kind of neat. I'm just going to put my partially disassembled rifle off to the side here, because I just wanted to show you guys just to kind of like close things off loading this magazine. I didn't want to do it with my rifle right next to me. Again, this one's in 308, so it's going to take 4 rounds. And just to start it off, this isn't like a... let me zoom in just a little bit more. This isn't like the Savage center feed where you can actually pop them in from the top, or you can... Holy, I just had my mind blown! You can pop them in from the top! Sorry, I was just playing with a Remington 770 the other day and it couldn't do that. I wonder if this is actually how you're supposed to do it. Wow, that's awesome. You know what I was doing is I was just kind of going like that, but to heck with that, you can just pop them in on the top. You learn something new every day. So there you go, you can pop them in from the top, and that makes it a lot easier to put them in there anyways. But, well, I learned something just doing the video. I can't complain too much about that. So that was the Ruger American rifle. It's available in popular hunting calibers. I think it's a good deal if you're kind of looking for something a little bit better than some of the other budget bolt action rifles out there. If you like the video, I've got a kind of like a better, fuller article on my website with a lot of high definition photos. So if you couldn't quite see something in the video, you know, I'm sorry, there's only so much I can do with getting my camera to autofocus. But I do have some really sharp photos up on my site, so check them out there and subscribe if you like the videos. Thanks.